Hello everyone. Welcome to Technocrats Virtual Point. I am Toshiba Khare, and I'm serving the very esteemed group of Central India Technocrats institutions as a corporate trainer for verbal ability. Friends, today I'm going to share with you some interview skills. I think at some point of life or the other, all of us have to face an interview. After all, when we study for years together, we have only one basic rationale in mind, that is to fetch a good job for ourselves. So it is very, very necessary to acquire interview skills so that we can get our dream job. Now, first and foremost, let me start with what an interview is. An interview is the process in which your employer gets an opportunity to see whether you are fit for the job or not. And for you, it is an opportunity to prove that you are the best choice for him. The crux of the matter is that you need to possess the desired skills, qualification and knowledge for the position vacant. And definitely, it becomes mandatory that you prepare yourself before going to the interview. It is very worthwhile to understand that interview is a complete process, I should say, in which we have different stages. And if you prepare yourself for these stages, then obviously you can confidently stake for the claimed position, for the slated position. So friends, I have divided the process of the interview in 3 stages. The first one is before the interview. Now, once you get to know that you have cleared the online exam of a company you have been dreaming for since years, and once you get to know that you have to appear for the interview, what are the things which you need to keep in mind before you go in that interview? If you have to face the interview after 2 days, what is the preparation required before you go to the interview? The first thing, my dear friends, is very essentially proper research about the company. Very, very important thing to be taken care of. Once you get to know that, yeah, this is the company where you have to go for the interview, you need to prepare and you need to have a complete research about the company. All the companies today have their websites, and all the information you want to seek is available on those websites. So the first thing which you need to do, that you need to have a proper research about that company. Visit the company's website, seek information, whether the company is domestic or international, what revenues did it generate last year, what revenues this year, what is the company's size, what are the total number of employees working in that company. All these details you will very easily get on the company's website. So the first thing you need to do is have a very proper research about the company where you are going to give the interview. Actually, what happens, most of us have a notion that once we enter the interview room and we start off with the interview, the first question is definitely going to be, tell us something about yourself. But no, you can also be asked, tell us something about our company. So for this question, you need to answer, of course, in a very, very proper manner, because if you are unaware about the details of the company, definitely it will go in a negative manner. The employer will of course think that you were never much interested in the company, and that is why you did not bother to collect details for the same. So the first thing you need to do is do a very, very proper research about the company. Now the second thing which I need to emphasize on, a very, very important thing which you need to prepare before going to the interview, is your dressing. Dress professionally, a very, very important thing which you need to prepare on. Now, the dressing does not mean just your attire, what you are wearing. No, it is from head to toe. Your hair should be properly trimmed. Your beard should be properly shaved. Your dress up should not be very loud. Your shoes should be well polished. That means that you should look like a thorough professional when you are going for the interview. So this is a thing which you need to prepare beforehand, before going to the interview. So dressing professionally is something which you need to think about, that how am I supposed to go for the interview. For the girls, the makeup should not be very loud. It should be a very natural look, and of course you are not supposed to wear very loud colors for the interview. So students, first and second, proper research about the company. Second is dress professionally. The third thing is know yourself. Very, very important point before you go to appear for an interview. Know yourself. I think knowing yourself is something which is very, very important. Most of us fail in the interview because we actually don't know what we can offer to the company, what our experiences are, how can we give concrete examples for those experiences, how can we prove ourselves a perfect fit for the company. So knowing yourself before appearing for the interview is very, very important. Know yourself, which kind of experiences you can give in the interview room, how can you prove yourself fit for the company, how can you give some examples which are very, very concrete and which set you or which prove you very, very perfect for the desired post. The next thing I would like to come on, arrange and compile your documents. Now, this is something which is absolutely important. Don't wait for the last moment to arrange and compile your documents. Your resume, your mark sheets, some copies of your resume or your certificates, all should be arranged and compiled in a very, very professional looking file before going in the interview. Don't wait for the last moment that, okay, in the morning I have to go for the interview, at night I'll arrange. No. As soon as you get to know that you have to appear for the interview after 2 days or 3 days, this is something which you really need to work on. Arranging and compiling your documents, your certificates, your resume, your mark sheets, whatever you think is important should be arranged and compiled in a very, very professional looking file. The next thing which I would come to is know your resume. Now, why have I written these 2 points separate? Do you think these are the same points? Arranging the documents and knowing your resume? No, they are absolutely different. Here you are just arranging and compiling your documents. But here you are knowing your resume. Knowing your resume means go through your resume thoroughly. Just understand what you have written in your resume and don't mention anything in your resume in which you are not confident. In which do you think that the interviewer can put up some questions and you won't be able to answer on. So you need to be very, very careful about preparing your resume, because only those points should be mentioned in which you are perfect for answering. Don't mention anything just to decorate your resume nicely, that something which actually can fetch you negative marking. Okay, next comes be prepared for expected and tricky questions. Very, very important point. Most of us, what we do, we just prepare ourselves for the questions which are very much expected. We take out a set of questions from the internet or from someone who has actually faced the interviews, and we just prepare ourselves for those expected questions. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why do we hire you for the job? These are the most expected questions, and most of us have the habit of preparing ourselves for only those expected questions. But my friends, you need to prepare yourself on tricky questions as well. Because nowadays the scenario has absolutely changed, and along with the expected questions of an interview, you can very well be asked the tricky questions as well. So you need to be very, very careful about preparing yourself for the questions, because that is basically what is going to fetch you marks in the interview. Okay friends, so we have already done before the interview preparation. Now coming to the second and very, very important stage during the interview. During the interview. What are the things you need to emphasize on and prepare on, and how are you supposed to behave during the interview? First, I would like to start with greeting. You understand what greeting is? Wishing your interviewer. As soon as you get inside the interview room and you're walking towards the interviewer, do remember to wish the interviewer as soon as you reach his table. So, and of course, you should remember that you are supposed to wish him in a very, very graceful manner and enthusiastically as well. Second thing which I need to come and talk about is smile. Most of us, once we enter the interview room, get so stressed that we forget that how important it is to smile. I don't mean to say that you need to laugh, but of course, smile occasionally so that it actually shows that you are not at all nervous for the interview, and it actually shows your positive approach towards the interview. So you need to smile occasionally once you get inside the interview room and you are walking towards the table of the interviewer. Maintain a very light smile on your face, and of course during the interview also, during giving answers, you should smile when and whenever it's required. The third thing which I would like to talk about is your eye contact. Something which is very, very, very important, my dear friends. Howsoever good you may be speaking or howsoever correct your answers are, but if you don't maintain a proper eye contact with the interview panel, you're gone. So you need to be very careful about your eye contact, because that is something which will prove you confident, and of course that will gain, and you'll be able to gain a very, very positive impression about yourself on the interviewer. So maintain a very proper eye contact, not only with the person who is asking questions to you, but also with the interview panel. Suppose if 4 persons are sitting for taking your interview, what would you do? Will you maintain eye contact with only the person who is asking you questions? No. You have to maintain eye contact with all of them. Only while you're answering a particular person's question, you are supposed to maintain a proper eye contact with that only person, but otherwise in between, when you take a pause, maintain eye contact with the other interviewers also, so that it shows your due respect to them and that you are acknowledging that they are also a part of the interview panel. Next, we have your behavior and your body language. Very, very important, and of course a thing which you need to think about during the interview, your behavior and your body language. How are you supposed to behave in the interview room? Have you ever thought about it? You just know this thing that once I'm getting into the interview room, I'm going to have butterflies in my stomach, I'm going to be nervous, but no, that is not the way you are supposed to behave. You need to behave very confident, but not overconfident, because obviously being overconfident will show you arrogant, and definitely nobody would like to induct somebody who is arrogant or overconfident about himself or herself. So you need to behave in a very professional manner, in a very confident way, so that you give a very, very positive impression about yourself to the interviewer. Talking about your body language, my dear friends, that is something which actually plays a very, very important role to get you the job. 50% your answers and 50% your body language plays the role in getting you the job. You need to be very, very confident in your body language. You need to carry yourself very nicely. You need to walk in a confident manner. You need to sit in a very nice manner. You don't have to sit at the edge of the chair. You don't need to slouch in the chair. You don't need to fidget with your hands. All this will come under your body language, which you need to maintain during the interview. Very, very important points. The next comes Speak clearly and in an audible voice. Now, speak clearly. Obviously, the words which you are speaking and whatever you speak should be very, very clear to the interviewer. He or she should not keep on asking you, what did you say? Come again. That should not be the thing in the interview. So you need to be very, very clear in whatever you're speaking, and your voice should be audible. Never give a chance to the interviewer to speak or to ask that what did you say? Come again. I did not understand what you said. So you need to be very careful the way you are speaking, how clear your language is, how well you are speaking, how audible your voice is. You need to be very, very careful about this point, which is speaking clearly and of course in an audible voice. Don't use jargons and slangs that those are the barriers to communication. And effective communication can obviously never happen with jargons and slangs. So don't use any language which you think must be alien to the interviewer, or he or she won't be able to understand what you are speaking. Now, friends, coming to the sixth point during the process of the interview is listen carefully before you answer the questions. Very important, and you need to be very careful about listening carefully and then only starting answering the questions. Most of us get so nervous in the interview room that we just think that it should just get over very quickly and we should rush out after getting done with the interview. And this is the reason why we are so quick to respond to the questions. Of course, we need to be quick, but listen carefully first and only then start answering the questions. In case you're not able to listen to a particular question from the interviewer, never say, "Kya bola aapne?" Ya, "What did you say?" No, there is a way to ask how to repeat the question. Like, you can always say that, "Sir, would you mind repeating the question?" Or, "Sir, can you possibly please repeat the question?" Use these kind of sentences. The more you throw words like please, can you do this possibly, or would you mind repeating the question, the more you use words and phrases like this, definitely the interviewer will get a very, very positive impression about you. Next comes, give concrete examples for your strengths and weaknesses. Very, very important thing during the interview. What most of us do, we just understand and we just mug up a set of questions and the set of answers which are provided on the internet. The interviewer asks you, what are your strengths or what are your weaknesses? What do you do? Just 4 to 5 adjectives you have, mugged up, and you start throwing it in front of the interviewer. I am very hardworking, I am a quick learner, I am a team player, I am a problem solver. Just those 4 or 5 adjectives which you have learned from the internet. But no, here you are supposed to give concrete examples for your strengths and weaknesses. That the interviewer already knows. 5 or 10 students or 10 people who are already standing outside may give the same answer. How actually can you prove that you are a team player? Or how you can prove that you are a quick problem solver or a quick learner? Give concrete examples for whatever adjectives you use for yourself. Like if you use that I'm a team player, give examples that proves that yes, you are a team player. Talking about your weaknesses, whatever is asked, if you are giving a weakness and if you are stating your weakness, obviously you need to be a little manipulative about what you are speaking. But even if you realize that, okay, I have to say this as a weakness, give examples as to how you are working to improve that weakness. So the basic thing is you need to be very, very particular and you need to give concrete examples about your strengths and weaknesses while answering these questions, because this is something which should not sound monotonous, or 5 people prior to you must have answered the same answer. Okay, so use the words which actually describe you or your strengths, but of course never forget to give examples relating to the same. Next we come, the 8th point, be truthful. Be truthful about yourself. Whenever you are asking, the interviewer is asking the questions and you are answering, don't do anything which actually doesn't sound true or something which is fake about you. You don't need to, give big things about yourself. Like if you talk about your hobbies, some of the people, what they do once they are in the interview room and suppose they are asked their hobbies, what they say, their hobby is reading novels. Maybe they have never read a novel, or they say that my hobby is to play chess. But no, you need to be truthful about whatever you are speaking in the interview room. No big surprise, the next question can come to you that, okay, if your hobby is reading novels, then what kind of novels do you read? What is the last novel which you read? So you need to be very, very truthful about the answers which you are giving. Don't be too, don't exaggerate your strengths, or you don't exaggerate anything which is fake. Okay, next comes a very, very important thing, according to me, of course, is you should never criticize your present or previous employer. Now you must be thinking that why am I adding this point here? Is it that important? Yes, it is. The reason is, you may be having a number of reasons for leaving the previous job. In case it's not your first job, of course, interview is something which you are going to face all your life. As you go on switching companies, you have to face various interviews. The very important thing which you need to keep in mind, you should never ever criticize your present or previous employer. In case you are asked that why do you want to leave the job and why do you want to join our company, you can have n number of reasons to give, except for this point that I'm not getting along well with my employer, or he gives me too much stress, or we are working under too much pressure. Don't give these kind of statements in the interview room. You have ample of reasons to give. You can of course say that the reputation of your company is far better and that is why I want to join you. Or my two friends are working here for the last 2 years and I also want to be a part of the company. So my dear friends, you have many reasons to give, except for this point, which is to criticize your present or previous employer. You should never ever do that, because that is definitely going to give a very, very bad impression on the interviewer. So always remember not to criticize your employers where you are already working. The last but not the least, the point which I need to come on is maintain a professional attitude. Now, maintaining a professional attitude, what does this mean? Like now you know pretty well that you are in the interview room for a job, something very professional. Even if the interviewer is cool, normal, and he's laughing, you just need to maintain that professional approach. You can also obviously smile on things. You can also answer something which is personal if he has asked a personal question, but that doesn't mean that you need to get too personal with him. You have to maintain a very, very professional attitude in the interview room. And that is, of course, you never know where you are being checked. It's not at all necessary that if he is being too personal with you, he would like you also to behave in the same manner. So you need to be very, very professional about your attitude and behavior in the interview room. So these are the 10 points, my dear friends, which I think you need to be very, very careful about during the interview. And I think I have covered almost all the points which you need to remember during the interview. Now friends, we are already done with the preparation of before the interview and during the interview. I think I have given you all important points. I have tried to give you all the important points which you need to prepare on before the interview and during the interview. Last but not the least, only 2 things to remember after the interview. First thing which you need to remember after the interview is wrap up the interview with a positive note. Okay, now what does this mean? You should wrap up the interview with a very positive note. No matter if you were not able to answer some of the questions of the interviewer, even if you answered 5 to 6 questions out of 10 and you could not answer 4 questions, that doesn't mean that you need to get nervous and you need to stop smiling and then you need to walk out of the interview room. No, you maintain that positive thing on your face, a positive attitude, a light smile, so that exhibits that you tried your level best to satisfy the interviewer on all fronts. It was not your fault if you were not able to answer 3 to 4 questions. It's perfectly fine. It's not necessarily he is just going on answering the questions for judging your knowledge. He can also judge you on many things like your temper, your stress level, how you are able to handle that pressure of answering the questions, how you maintain your calm, how you are smiling even after not answering the questions. You can take it in a very, very light manner. So the thing is, you need to wrap up the interview with a very, very positive note. Don't stop smiling. Once you are done with the interview, you get to know that now I'm supposed to move out of the interview room. Say thank you, and of course you need to move with a very, very positive approach and a light smile on your face. You just want to show the interviewer that I have tried my level best to satisfy you on all the fronts, and if I was not able to answer some questions, please forgive me for that. Okay, next comes the second thing. Never forget to thank the interviewer before leaving. Very, very important thing. Always remember that you need to thank the interviewer or interviewers who are sitting in that panel before you leave the room. Don't be in much hurry, because generally what happens, we all are so nervous once we get inside the interview room that we think that it should just wind up as soon as possible and we should move out. Don't lose your calm. Once you are done with the interview, maintain your calm, get up with a light smile, thank the interviewer or the interviewers in the panel, and then move out of the interview room. So this is something which you really need to care about, that you have to thank the interview panel before you leave the interview room. Now, I think, friends, I have tried to give all the points to you for before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. I hope you have liked my video, and in case you have liked my video, please don't forget to like and share my video, and also subscribe to the channel.